Yes, Na'Vi already sitting down as well as Ninjas in Pyjamas. They are the two teams that will face each other next here on stage at DreamHack Summer here in Jönköping, which I find that I pronounce Jönköping.
You're very good at that.
I'm trying
Lumi,
so
the
hard.
first time.
Jönköping.
Jönköping. It sounds like John's shopping.
Did I say Jönköping? I said Jönköping. I said Jönköping.
No, I was talking about Lumi's pronunciation.
But it's not. Why is it not good?
Jönköping is correct.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Jönköping.
I'm looking at the cameraman who is
Jönköping.
closer. Jönköping. Jönköping or?
I don't know.
No, we don't know. Well, I was pretty close, I think. I tried. I just want to make a point of trying. Anyways, very
great,
close.
Shiva.
I was very close. Great.
Yes.
So we can actually take a look at the brackets. Now that the first series is out of the way, we can take a look at where those teams move towards and well, how the brackets develop. I mean, it's kind of obvious. We have Verda United now going to the winners bracket and already basically unknown in the lower bracket. Ninjas in Pyjamas, also a best of one, taking on Na'Vi. Also a game that decides for winners bracket, lower bracket. And all these games in this bracket, by the way, are all played today. So after this best of one, we still have 3 best of 3s to go.
A lot of games of Dota.
A lot of games of Dota. We'll be here all night.
This game especially, Nip against Na'Vi, like, I can't wait for it. Like, both teams play completely opposite. Like, one is crazy aggressive and the other is kind of passive and farms. Like, it's...
Yeah. Now, we have Ninjas in Pyjamas. They're the X Games champion, so they're like the most recent champion. Before that, it was Na'Vi winning the qualifiers for TI. So you got a TI invited team taking on Ninjas in Pyjamas who isn't, or not invited, or qualified. But Ninjas in Pyjamas, not going to TI, still doing amazingly well recently. Do you feel like that has anything to do with how they're going to play this tournament? Like the pressure that's on? Maybe for Na'Vi, it's the last practice they get before TI. For NIP, that pressure is not really there.
In my opinion,
I don't know. That's a hard question to answer. I think when it comes to mentality, I think if you look at Na'Vi, they're happy they qualified for TI, but I think they really want to prove a point that it wasn't just a fluke, and that I think they're hungry for victories because they've kind of been starved on major LAN performances for a very long time, and their fans are expecting great things out of them. So I think they have a lot to win. And for NIP, they just won X Games. You could say they come off a win. Unfortunately for them, as you mentioned, they don't go to TI, so maybe the other tournaments play an even bigger role because they're going to try to win whatever they can, even though they're not going. So I want to say that's pretty even for both teams in that sense.
NIP also played in a tournament today, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
just they won the Swedish championship.
They won the Swedish championship.
So I guess they're happy coming in from that. So
It
yeah, it's like 100k SEK for the winner of the Swedish championship.
Pretty decent, actually.
Pretty decent. And it was a best of 3 that they played. They 2-0'd, even though I've been told, and I wasn't able to watch the games, that the games were pretty even.
The first game was really close and had
2
2 rapiers in
on the
it.
gyrocopter, like.
So does that affect their gameplay right now?
Well, they're warmed up for Kvost's rapiers now.
Yeah,
I guess they've played against rapiers today, so.
Ready for it. I think, honestly, the thing for me in this game is how Artstyle plays and what hero he plays. Because I think he's the support that has the most amount of kills in this entire tournament. And he just is extremely aggressive. Like we saw his Enchantress, it's like terrifying to watch actually. He just runs around. Like there was one stage, there was a game earlier in the tournament and he was like, as Radiant, he was outside the top tier 1 or tier 3 tower as Dire. Just like randomly, just running around, just causing chaos. Like. And it's extremely difficult to play against that if you're kind of a passive team that wants to kind of concentrate on farming and stacking, that kind of stuff, if you have this crazy Enchantress running around the place.
The one hero that we saw at the TI5 qualifiers that I haven't seen that often, apart from in the hands of Soneko, Winter Wyvern.
Oh yeah.
Is that ban material in this case against Na'Vi?
Maybe second phase, I guess.
I think it depends on what core they pick up. Because Winter River, one thing that she really does well in the late game is shut down physical damage.
Yeah.
So let's say if Na'Vi goes into Leshrac and other magic damage dealer, I don't think it's worthy ban in that case. But let's say if Avos picks up like Juggernaut, for example, then maybe. It really depends on the draft. I don't think we could safely say, all right, we got to ban out WW right from the get-go.
I think it combos up really well with push lineups as well. Like if you want to push aggressively, it just gives you that sustain in the push. And also, like that lane harass early game it's terrifying. Like, you know what I mean? It really is. So.
It is a pretty strong hero.
Yeah.
I think teams still need to explore it more and get more used to playing it. It's still fairly new, and a lot of these players, the heroes they pick, they've played for like 3 or 4 years, you know, or maybe even longer, so they have a lot of experience.
Yeah, talking about that as well, like the Glimmer Cape is like an item that Na'Vi pick up like more than any other team. And Suniko,
every hero.
Suniko, like the way he plays with that Glimmer Cape, there was a clip like last week of him playing on it, and it's just insane. The power of that item, if used correctly, on Winter Wyvern as well, it's just...
Yeah, I think Glimmer Cape and Solar Crest, for that matter, is just some of the most under-purchased item in Pro Dota right now. I think they're just absolutely... They're too strong for what they cost.
Yeah, even Lotus Orb as well. Like if you're against the correct team and you have the like...
Lotus is a lot more situational, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. But if you're comfortable with the item, which is what I feel a lot of these teams aren't yet, you know, because it's still very new in Dota. If you get to that stage, all of a sudden this item could cause like, crazy things to happen.
Yep.
Both of these teams are actually known for also picking fairly unusual heroes. We've seen them pick up Pudge for Na'Vi. We've seen Huskar on the side of NIP. How do you ban against them? We saw in the first game, there was a first ban Brood, Mother.
I think if you're worried about the Huskar, though, they pick it into Leshrac quite a lot.
Yeah.
So you should be kind of more ready for it if you pick Leshrac. And the Pudge as well, that was kind of with Night Stalker.
Yes.
So they can combo them up quite well, you know, the heroes, so you can kind of read it a bit more with them. So I don't know, what do you guys think on that?
I think the Husker pick for NIP, they always pick 4th or 5th. Correct me if I'm wrong, 'cause you don't, like...
You can't first pick Husker,
not necessarily 5th. I think they have picked it 4th before, because else they realize, okay, maybe it gets banned, or maybe you want to hide your last pick or whatever. So you start worrying about Husker if you don't have any significant pure damage or physical damage in your lineup. If you do, you're often just willing to give it away and see, okay, well, if NIP want it, maybe they... I've seen a couple of games where they pick it, and on paper it's a pretty good hero, but it's like 1 or 2 heroes that counter it really well, and then it kind of falls to the ground. So it's very situational. Pudge, I don't think you can really prepare for.
No.
If you're scared of it, you second phase ban it. If it comes out all of a sudden, I guess the best thing you can do is... They always play it on Dendi, I believe.
Yes.
So you get a good matchup mid where you destroy the Pudge in lane. So he will always find levels, but if you outfarm him 2 or 3 times in mid, then that can probably make up for it. And then it's more about your playstyle in mid.
That's funny, when you said banning it out, I remember back in TI3, all the Chinese team were straight banning Dendi's Pudge. Like, no matter what the draft was,
the game entirely.
ban. But I don't think that would be the case.
It's kind of one of them heroes that you don't get to practice against ever, like in official scrims or anything.
Yeah.
So it kind of adds that element of kind of craziness to the kind of game, which you don't want in these kind of like.
I think it would be a really good idea for Na'Vi to take that approach. Just pull something out that NIP aren't used to playing against. Because if there's one thing Na'Vi love to play, it's just all over the map aggression. Just run out and find kills. You mentioned Pudge, Night Stalker, the roaming supports for art style. If he doesn't get Enchantress or Chen, we could maybe see him play another early roaming support, maybe something like a Vengeful Spirit or something like just looking to just kill everywhere all the time. So NIP don't feel comfortable on the map. That'd be my advice.
Previous game, we saw all the attention focused on the supports. I mean, most of the bans were against the supports. We saw the supports having a massive impact. Do you think that's the same in this game? Is the emphasis going to be on those supports creating space for their cores, or are we going to see some more maybe playmakers coming out from the offlane/mid lane this game?
I think we're going to see at least a ban on Gyro. I feel like that's pretty reasonable for NIP to ban Gyro against Kvost. They might give it away, but then they do it for a trade-off. Like, if they give away the Gyro, they want the Lesh for themselves for Limp. It's either of those situations will probably arise. Apart from that, other cores for space ban, I don't really think so. I think you get rid of Wisp for one of the
Wisp,
shares.
100%.
Yes.
What else do you really want to get rid of? Quap might be banned as well.
I guess Undying, simply just because how
Undying against...
heroes.
Well, both teams love playing Undying, actually.
Yeah, they do. I think it's Artstyle's favorite hero.
But
that's probably the top pick of this game, actually, now that I think about it. Both teams will be picking it, maybe even over other first picks, just flat out Undying first and go for some cheese push, especially best of one.
I think Era and Havos also has a bit of overlap in terms of heroes. They both love Juggernaut a lot.
Yeah.
Lifestealer is not a meta pick, but I think, at least back in the day, they both played it a lot as well.
Yeah, same for Gyro.
Yeah, Gyro as well.
So we're talking about the heroes. We actually have the players that are going to be playing the heroes live on stage, and we can take a look at them because they're sitting right there. Starting off with Na'Vi, it is a Vost there, the core.
He has a 535 GPM. It's actually the highest in the tournament.
I see you got the stats out.
Oh, I got these stats, yo. And then he also has the highest amount of last hits by quite a ridiculous amount. He has
What's
308.
compared to Era?
If we compare them to Era, like Era has 267 last hits, and Havos has 308. But the most interesting thing is actually Era's kill death ratio is the best in the tournament.
We can talk about Era when we actually see him on
Do
screen.
you have, when you pull out stats like that, do you have the average game time?
Yes.
Because if Na'Vi have the highest amount of CS and the highest...
their game times are actually quite similar.
Because if they have similar game times, it's really interesting. Let's say Na'Vi have way longer games, then obviously they get more farms.
Winter player number 1. By the way, we get a lot of questions.
This guy has been hot. Sorry.
He has.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I wasn't gonna. I'll say mine after the players.
All right. So for me, this guy probably single-handedly saved their game against 4ASC in the qualifiers for TI. Extremely outstanding Wyvern performance in that particular game. I think there were like 4 or 5 or 6 fights where he played pretty much flawlessly. He's a very versatile support player. I think it's really cool to see Soniko just in any. You never really know what hero he's going to get. Like they can pull out pretty much everything for him. He's a very talented new player. Also, when you see him playing in in-house leagues and Face It, he also plays like different heroes, and he always has a very major game impact.
We totally skipped over Artstyle.
No, Artstyle. We talked about Artstyle. His
Sorry, I took a little while
was amazing. We mentioned him, but of course also on screen right now, Dendi, who is
charming.
Really liking the camera.
Keep giving us the blinky eyes.
And the weird eyes. Classic. A Dendi classic, looking strangely into the camera.
Yep.
And a Phonic classic, playing with the headset.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, by the way, because we get a lot of questions of why are they wearing 2 headsets. Easy answer. There is one headset that is meant for sound cancelling and one that has the microphone in it.
Well, they also wear the earbud under it.
They actually
Not
have
anymore.
3, right?
I believe that these
3. The earbud is actually where the sound comes in.
I don't believe they have the earbuds in this one. I believe the sound comes from the headset.
Phonic did, yeah.
Okay.
Well, the other ear says for
maybe
sponsorship.
He listened to his music or something.
All right, okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
Well, on the other side, it is the Ninjas in Pyjamas. Of course, Jonas so fun. And I mean, we're in a Swedish crowd right now, and this is there's a slight bias going on, I believe, in the crowd.
It's so weird to cheer against Na'Vi. That's
yeah, it is.
Yeah, and that's Limp, of course, puck player number 1. He had some really impressive puck play at MLG.
He's very strong on mid heroes that are more built around spell usage than actually just attacking. He plays very good Lishrak, very good puck. Lina, very good as well with that hero. He's kind of a bursty type of player when it comes to team fights and loves playing high magic damage output heroes, which is great because he's a good pairing with the guy we'll see after this guy. We got Hansken. Which means, you know what it means, right?
I do not.
It means the glove.
Oh,
the glove.
Yeah,
the glove.
It's actually pretty similar to Dutch in that case.
Is it Ace Ventura or Michael Jackson?
No, it's a different player. I forgot who, but it's a different player.
Now you can talk about Era.
Yeah.
You have stats about him.
Oh yeah, he basically has the highest kill death ratio by quite a large amount in this tournament. He has 4.2 like kill assist to death ratio, which is
and your
crazy high.
statistic is from DreamLeague.
No, it's from the last month.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Which I found very surprising because NIP, when they win, they generally drag the game out a little bit, and I'm surprised that Era doesn't have more CS because of that.
Yeah, it's
his CS is through the roof generally.
I think it's a lot to do with they compared to other teams, they don't give, as we now see Seal Kid here finally, compared to other teams, they don't put as much emphasis on just farming their safe lane really hard. Both Limp and Era get good farm, and in a lot of games you see Jonas as well finding quite a lot of farm, and for example his Axe in some games, and we've seen him play Darkseer. So the farm distribution on that team is just, it's like everyone gets farm apart from Seal Kid. And Seal Kid gets like sacked super hard.
Actually has the lowest amount of farm in the tournament. He has 12% of his team's farm. Like on the stats sheet, he actually has this like little red thing in the center.
But it's very clear that it's a deliberate choice. Like they put him on the heroes that need the least amount of farm, and he plays the roles really well without items. I think in some of the games NIP loses, they make a mistake not giving Seal Kid more farm. But in a lot of the games, it works out really well. When he plays, for example, he plays Dazzle, I think Disruptor sometimes, or is it only Hanskin that plays that? I'm not completely...
Shadow Demon a bit as well.
He plays Shadow Demon, so like the more of the sacrificial defensive supports are his arsenal, and he does all the warding.
So we have to choose one, or rather you guys have to choose one. Because I can stay neutral as a host. But because I really don't know.
It's very difficult.
It's very difficult to call this one. So
Okay.
I'm like, who's going
The
to win?
camera's on me, apparently.
No pressure. Shane.
Okay, in my opinion, I think Na'Vi are too aggressive for NiP. I think they'll just...
You think Navi's going to win?
Yes,
Okay.
based on that alone.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Navi?
I'm going with Na'Vi as well. The games with NiP tend to drag on quite a bit, and that's where I think the better team will have a better chance of finding mistakes.
Yeah.
And I think Na'Vi is the better team. I'm going to go with Na'Vi in a best of 1. I'm going to go with Na'Vi in best of 3. I'm going with Na'Vi in best of 5.
Best of 20.
Which, I mean, we're in front of a Swedish home crowd, which doesn't make me comfortable saying this. But
I think they have some knives behind us.
honest opinion, I think Na'Vi is... I mean, it's the best of 1, so I don't know.
Yeah. I think for best of ones, NIP are actually going to have a pretty good shot, just because when it comes to having they have these standout games, where they're just extremely good. I think we saw it in the qualifiers as well. NIP, I think in the first series looked super hot in one of the games where they just pretty much, I can't remember who cast it, but said it was the most flawless performance of the tournament they've seen so far. I think they're going to bring it here, the home crowd. They're warmed up as well. They played the Swedish finals, so they are in the zone. And when it comes to the aggression, I definitely agree. I think if they lose because they get destroyed early game. But if they get through that and they get to play their comfort picks, I think they can do well. I'm looking for them to pick defensive supports that can help them. We talk Shadow Demon, Dazzle, Omni Knight. Get one of those 3 so you can hold out.
Well, we're going to find out if the home crowd will get their wish, because the draft is already on the way. It is time for Ninjas in Pyjamas taking on Na'Vi with Odie, Pixel, and Draskell.